Okay, this is kind of an addendum to the video I just did. There's a scientific concept called R selection and K selection in terms of breeding and reproduction and raising and rearing children and offspring. R selection is where the two individuals have tons of kids, but they have them in unsavory circumstances. They have them in dangerous environments because they know the majority of those kids will not survive, be it because they don't have enough resources or because they'll be killed. So they have a bunch to, further their chances of their offspring making it and continuing their line. K selection is where the parents, and usually it is monogamous in both animals and humans. Both parents will stay around and rear the young, and they'll have fewer offspring to raise them more, to be more into their rearing. There's a lot of R selection. The parents just leave when they have the kids. Very little interaction, very little rearing. Part of why the kids die so easily. In K selection, the parents take more time to rear the young. Sadly, not only a lot of blacks in ghettos in America, but it's all over the world. Because where do you see a lot of overpopulation? Africa. Black families. But usually on those Feed the Children commercials in African countries, you don't see the Arabs that live in African countries. You don't see the Arab nomads still roaming the plains and whatnot in Arab countries in the deserts. You don't see their kids. You don't see them, starving and naked and all that, siphoning water from mud. You just don't see it. What does that tell you? Those Arabs might be more K-select, whereas blacks are obviously R-select. And it's obvious here in America with the tons of out-of-wedlock kids constantly born year in, year out. Some women it's to the same dude. There was a case like that in Tennessee where I think a guy had like 50 kids by about 3 or 4 different women, and the women knew each other. It was ridiculous. It was somewhere in the South, Tennessee or Georgia. And when you see the people that succeed, that make it in life, so they put more into their kids, into rearing them and raising them, and teaching them something, that they have something to go on and a foundation. Same thing with kids that go off to college and their parents actually taught them something about dang Jesus and God. They're the ones that usually don't go out just drinking and getting drunk and screwing and smoking weed because they have an actual solid foundation. And most of those, not all of them, but they usually aren't. Like I said, not all of them, but usually they aren't churches with a whole bunch of jumping and jiving and new revelation, open canon of scripture, like a lot of the black churches and Pentecostal churches, where apparently God still speaks to them in the same direct manner as the Old Testament. And that's kind of off topic. But the people that succeed more is because they learn more, were taught more was put into them, more care was taken in their upbringing. And that's why they succeed in more than just basic hunter and gatherer type civilizations. It is what it is. I mean, I'm not saying it to be racist or mean, cruel. I'm just pointing out the facts. You can't get mad at me for reporting the facts, because they are what they are. And don't bring up some exception, because it's an exception for a reason. Because it's not the norm. But the norm still stands. So if you get mad at me, don't you get mad at the doggone rules and the facts for being what they are. Don't get mad at someone else for reporting them.